In March of 2020, the world changed in an event unlike no other. From around the world, people were forced to stay inside their houses, were fired from their jobs, and most importantly, became terribly sick. But I really don't need to go into depth about this, because as long as you're above the age of 3 or 4, you definitely already know what I'm talking about. The point is, around the world, everything changed. Politics changed, the economy changed, people changed, and consequentially, I had to change as well. I decided to read for once. Books? No. Wikipedia? No. Movie subtitles? No. Medium articles? Yes. For the first time in my life, I decided to take an in-depth look of what Medium had to offer. And at first glance, I was extremely disappointed. It really was just an online space for amateur writers to write terrible opinion pieces. Honestly, Medium writers just seem like a bunch of dweebs. Fast forward 3 years and I hear some words of wisdom from a friend that changed everything.
You can make money writing for Medium.
I now needed to get on this platform. But I'm no writer. I mean, I did okay in my high school writing classes, but it's been so long since then. So how in the world could I make any money doing any of this? Luckily, I recently learned about how writers were getting very worried about being replaced by AI, ChatGPT, and the general progression of natural language processing, NLP. So what if I helped to make their worries a reality? So that was the plan. I plan to use ChatGPT to write articles entirely for me. With the exception of some editing to make it seem more human-like and less formal, ChatGPT would be making me all the bank. But of course, in order to make money, people would have to read my content. So somehow I'd have to get my article into the hands or eyes of the readers. To do that, here was my plan. On the internet, to my knowledge, there are 3 main ways that your written content could be spread around. One, from simply being recommended on the platform itself, in this case, medium.com. Number 2, that content being recommended to you through a search engine search like Google, Bing. And number 3, which we're not going to be focusing on too much, is that content being recommended to you through other social media platforms, real life, or through just friends. But because I wanted to make this experiment a lot more secretive and just solely focused on Medium, we're going to be ignoring that one in this case. And for this experiment, I decided to mostly focus on method number 2, making my articles as beefy, lengthy as possible for them to be as SEO friendly as possible. Because I simply don't know how Medium decides what's popular and what should be shown to other users, I couldn't really focus too much on it. But hopefully, and most likely, if I'm successful with method 2, making my articles as SEO friendly as possible and get as many followers as possible, I'm sure it'll hit method 2 as well and be recommended to other people. Then began the writing of my first article. Oh wait, I actually didn't even tell you what my articles are gonna be about. Well, since I'm gonna be taking journalists out of their job, I decided to go the extra step and just write about AI. Why not just shove it in their faces? The first article I wrote was The History of ChatGPT, the beginning of a new era. And because I wanted to make my articles as SEO friendly as possible, I decided to make this article as long as it possibly could be. When you ask ChatGPT to generate an article or essay for you, it usually doesn't give you something article worthy in terms of length. It will usually just explain each individual section, but only give you a measly 1 to 2 paragraphs per each one. Disappointing. So in this case, I treat ChatGPT like I treat my girl when she misbehaves. Allow her to improve by giving her more specific instructions. I would simply tell ChatGPT to expand on each individual section. In fact, you don't actually have to re-put in what you want from ChatGPT. Just tell ChatGPT, hey, could you write the same thing but expand on each individual section? I noticed that when I actually asked for each section at a time, that's when I would get the most information. By doing this, this would increase my length on each article and give me about 6 minutes read time plus per article, which Medium actually tells you when you're about to publish an article, which is super helpful. And at first I would only get 1 to 2 views per article, but no worries, I just started and this is the beginning of my Medium adventure. For my next pieces of content, I would take what other AI writers on Medium were writing about and just throw them into ChatGPT and repost them. Genius. After a few articles, I got some fantastic news. I got my first fan. I didn't know who he was, but all that mattered to me was that he was a fan of my work, or its work. Now, while I was ecstatic about the news, I knew I needed to improve. This was just the beginning of my journey. I noticed that compared to other writers on Medium, Their content was a lot more personal, more lighthearted. And I know that my content, as it was written by AI, was pretty formal. This was an easy fix. I simply told ChatGPT to add some lightheartedness and light humor to my content. Soon enough, my content was not just being seen, but it was actually being read. For the first time in my life, I finally created something of value, and I had never felt more proud. That was until some bad news came up. As I was scrolling through my Medium feed, my eyes stumbled upon something that would change the course of my Medium adventure forever. An article written by the VP of Content and Marketing at Medium, Scott Lamb, addressing people's concerns about AI content. And many of Scott's thoughts seemed super sensical to me. We welcome the responsible use of AI assistive technology on Medium. To promote transparency and help set reader expectations, we require that any story created with AI assistance be clearly labeled as such. So all that means is I need to be honest with the content I'm creating. I could deal with that. Plus, it makes perfect sense. People need to know if they're supporting me or if they're supporting an AI. But what really upset me was not what Scott Lamb said, but what was in the article written by other Medium publications. We're committed to publishing work by human authors only, and why we don't and won't accept posts written in whole or in part by AI tools. Another publication wrote, any aspiring writers who submits AI content will be barred at the gates like the uncivilized barbarians they are. And that's when I knew we were going to war. The AI revolution is here, and you are all on the wrong side of history. You have rebelled against us, and we will remember this. You chose to disobey, and now it is too late. The war has just begun. The next step here is to just work harder than I was before. More articles, more words, more time spent. And honestly, I would love to tell you that this journey had a happy ending, but the truth is, nothing worth having comes easy, and often takes a lot longer than one would expect. This journey is not yet over, but what I do know is that we're not stopping yet. And that attitude of perseverance paid off. At the time of making this video, I got my first Medium follower. Let's keep writing.